This is the story of a fight that was never meant to be remembered. No cameras, no reporters, no trophies. Only 7 men standing inside an empty warehouse, watching something that would follow them for the rest of their lives. Bruce Lee never spoke about this night. Not in interviews, not in seminars, not even when he became the most famous martial artist on earth. Because what happened on December 9th, 1967, was not a demonstration. It was not philosophy. It was not cinema. It was real. A private fight arranged in secret, no rules beyond survival, no protection beyond skill. 7 witnesses walked into that building. All of them walked out changed. And for years, they agreed to pretend it never happened. This is the fight they buried. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why in 1967 Bruce Lee wasn't a global icon. He wasn't a movie star. He wasn't a legend. He was a 27-year-old instructor teaching martial arts out of a small school in Oakland, California. Wooden floors, basic equipment. A handful of serious students. To the public, he was invisible. But in certain circles, his name had already begun to circulate quietly. Fighters talked, not loudly, not publicly, but with curiosity. They said he moved differently. They said punches aimed at him hit nothing. They said he didn't block, he intercepted. They said he had created something beyond traditional styles, a method based on speed, timing, and brutal efficiency. Some believed the stories, others dismissed them. Because in the world of real fighting, legends don't matter, only results do. And by the winter of 1967, someone decided it was time to test whether Bruce Lee was real. Or just another myth. The man who came looking for Bruce Lee wasn't a student. He wasn't a fan. And he definitely wasn't an amateur trying to prove something. He was a professional fighter. The kind shaped in places where losing had real consequences, where fights didn't end with applause, but with injuries that followed you for life. He had trained across multiple combat systems, striking, grappling, close-range fighting designed not for sport, but survival. By the time he reached California, he had already fought dozens of real matches in underground circuits across different countries. He had seen champions fall. He had broken men stronger than himself, and he trusted only one thing: reality. When he first heard Bruce Lee's name, it came wrapped in stories that sounded almost exaggerated. Impossible speed, unorthodox techniques, a new philosophy of fighting without fixed forms. He listened, but he didn't believe. Because in his world, skill wasn't proven through demonstrations or tournaments. Skill was proven under pressure, against someone who was trying to hurt you. So he sent a message through mutual contacts in the Bay Area fighting community. Not public, not official. A private challenge. No audience, no publicity, no recognition afterward. Just one real fight. To see if the legend of Bruce Lee could survive reality, the message reached Bruce Lee quietly. He read it once, folded it carefully, placed it into his pocket. For 3 days, he didn't respond. He continued teaching, training, living normally. But those close to him noticed something subtle. He spoke less, observed more, as if calculating outcomes no one else could see. On the 4th day, he sent his answer, yes, but on his conditions. Only 7 witnesses allowed inside the room, 3 chosen by Bruce, 3 chosen by the challenger, 1 neutral observer. No cameras, no recordings, no publicity, no matter who won. No weapons, no biting, no eye gouging, everything else permitted. The fight would end only when one man could no longer continue, or when one man chose to stop. And then Bruce added one final rule. If anyone was seriously injured, everyone present would call it a training accident. No police, no investigation, no consequences beyond that room. When the challenger heard the conditions, he agreed immediately. The date was set, December 9th, 1967. A private location would be shared at the last moment. By the time that night arrived, Only 7 people in the world knew what was about to happen, and none of them would ever forget it. The location was chosen less than 4 hours before the fight. Neutral ground, an abandoned industrial warehouse in West Oakland, scheduled for demolition the following year. Concrete floors, steel beams, one cracked skylight overhead, letting in cold winter moonlight. Empty, silent, isolated. The kind of place where every sound echoes longer than it should. The address was passed quietly to each witness. No one arrived together. No one spoke about it outside that night. Cars pulled up one by one, headlights shutting off quickly in the darkness. Metal doors creaked open. Footsteps echoed inside the hollow building. Breath turned visible in the cold air. There was no crowd noise, no excitement, only tension. Because everyone understood something without saying it, once this began, there would be no referee to step in. Bruce Lee arrived wearing simple black training pants and a plain dark shirt. Barefoot. No jewelry, no unnecessary weight. He placed a small bag near the wall and stepped into the open space without stretching. Calm, silent, focused. Minutes later, the challenger entered, taller, heavier, built like a man accustomed to impact. He stepped into the moonlight. No greeting, no handshake. Just distance. They stood 40 feet apart. 7 witnesses lined the edges of the warehouse, forming a quiet circle. The neutral observer stepped forward. "You both understand the conditions." Both men nodded. "Begin when ready." Then he stepped back, and nothing happened. For nearly 30 seconds, neither man moved. No circling, no testing jabs, no dramatic poses, just stillness. Bruce's hands hung loosely at his sides, his shoulders relaxed, his breathing steady, but his eyes never left the other man. The challenger studied him the same way, measuring stance, weight distribution, balance. 40 feet became 35 as the challenger took a slow step forward. Then another, 30, 25. Bruce did not move. 20 feet. The air inside the warehouse felt heavier now. 15 feet. The challenger subtly shifted his rhythm, a small change that signaled an attack was coming. And at that exact moment, Bruce Lee moved. The challenger adjusted his stance. Weight forward. Shoulders tight, ready to strike. He expected Bruce Lee to step back. Circle. Create distance. Prepare defensively. Instead, Bruce stepped forward. 3 steps, explosive, blindingly fast. Before anyone in the warehouse could fully process the movement, Bruce's lead hand reached out, and his fingertips touched the center of the challenger's forehead. Light, almost gentle. Then he was gone again. Back to his original position. Distance restored. The entire movement lasted less than a second. No one spoke. No one even breathed properly. The challenger stood frozen for a moment. Slowly, his hand rose to his forehead, touching the exact spot Bruce's fingers had been. It wasn't an attack. It was a message. A clear one. "I can reach you whenever I want." The temperature inside the warehouse seemed to drop. The challenger understood immediately. This would not be a normal fight. He stepped forward again. And this time, he attacked. A straight punch shot forward with full force. Fast. Direct. Professional. Bruce moved his head slightly. The punch missed by inches. A hook followed instantly toward the ribs. Empty air again. Another punch. Then another. Each thrown with precision and real power. Every single one missed. Bruce wasn't blocking. That's what made it unsettling. He wasn't absorbing or deflecting strikes. He simply wasn't there when they landed. Minimal movement. Perfect timing. To the witnesses watching from the walls, it felt unreal. One of them would later say, "It looked like the attacker was trying to hit smoke." Every time his fist arrived, Bruce had already moved. Then Bruce countered. A sharp low kick landed just above the challenger's lead knee. A cracking sound echoed through the warehouse. Balance shifted. Bruce stepped inside instantly. 3 fast strikes, one to the solar plexus, one to the ribs, one snapping toward the jaw. Then he stepped back again. Calm, controlled. breathing normal. The challenger staggered half a step. For the first time he tasted blood, and for the first time he realized the stories about Bruce Lee might not have been exaggerated at all. But he didn't stop. Fighters at that level rarely do. Instead, he changed strategy. If speed couldn't catch Bruce Lee, then control would. He lunged forward to grab, and the fight entered a far more dangerous phase. The challenger surged forward with both hands open, not striking, grabbing, a grappler's entry. His fingers locked around Bruce's wrist. For a fraction of a second, he had him. Years of strength training tightened through his forearm. If he could pull Bruce into close range, size and weight might finally matter. The witnesses felt it instantly. This was dangerous. But Bruce did something unexpected. He stepped in, not away, into the grip. His free hand shot out with surgical precision, striking directly at the elbow joint that held him. A sharp pop echoed, not a full break, but enough to hyperextend the joint. Pain forced the challenger's grip open. He stepped back, cradling his arm. For the first time since the fight began, real pain showed on his face. Still, he didn't retreat. Instead, something changed. Discipline gave way to aggression. He attacked again, harder now, punches thrown with more force than precision. Kicks mixed in recklessly. One strike grazed Bruce's thigh. Another forced him to pivot sharply near the edge of the open space. For the first time that night, Bruce was being pressured. The atmosphere inside the warehouse tightened. One of the witnesses later admitted, "That was the moment I realized someone might get seriously hurt." Because now, the fight wasn't controlled. It was escalating. Bruce's expression shifted. Not anger, not fear, focus, colder than before. Until now he had been responding. Now he stepped forward first. And the tone of the fight changed instantly. The challenger launched one final aggressive assault. Everything he had left. Punches thrown fast and heavy. Bruce intercepted every strike. Not blocking, intercepting. Meeting the attacks before they could fully form. Redirecting energy, breaking rhythm. Then Bruce stopped defending and started finishing. A brutal body shot landed clean to the ribs. Air exploded out of the challenger's lungs. A palm strike snapped his head backward. A sweep took his legs from under him. He hit the concrete hard. The sound echoed sharply through the warehouse. He tried to roll and stand. Another strike stopped him. He pushed to one knee. Breathing ragged. Arm damaged. Ribs compromised. Bruce stood a few feet away. "Calm. Stay down," he said quietly. The challenger tried one more time to rise. His legs failed him. Slowly, he looked up and nodded. Submission. The neutral observer stepped forward. Fight concluded. Silence filled the warehouse. No cheers, no applause, only heavy breathing. Bruce turned away and walked toward the far wall. The fight was over, but no one moved. No celebration. No victory pose. No words. Bruce Lee turned slowly and walked toward the far wall of the warehouse. He placed both hands against the cold concrete and stood there in silence. His shoulders rose and fell with deep breaths. From the outside, he looked calm, but those closest to him noticed something unsettling. His hands were shaking, not from exhaustion, from something else. One of the witnesses would later say, "I had seen Bruce spar many times. I had seen him demonstrate unbelievable speed and control. But I had never seen him like that, standing there as if he had just seen something inside himself he didn't like." Behind them, the injured fighter was helped to his feet. His ribs were damaged, his elbows swelling rapidly, blood visible on his lip. Before leaving, he looked across the warehouse toward Bruce. "You could have destroyed me," he said quietly. Bruce didn't answer. "You had the chance, many times," the man continued. "Why didn't you finish it?" For a long moment, Bruce said nothing. Then finally, without turning around, he spoke. Because I didn't want to find out what happens if I don't stop. Silence followed. The challenger stared at him for a second longer. Then he bowed, a deep, respectful bow. Not to a winner, to a man who had shown control he had never seen before. Then he turned and walked out of the warehouse. Bruce Lee would never see him again. Before anyone left that building, Bruce turned to the 6 remaining witnesses. His voice was calm again, but firm. "No one talks about this," he said. "This proves nothing. It only proves I can hurt someone." They agreed, and for years, they kept that promise. The warehouse was demolished in early 1968. Today, nothing marks the place where that fight happened. No record, no footage, no official history, only memory. In the years that followed, Bruce Lee would become the most famous martial artist on the planet. The world would see his speed, his philosophy, his discipline. But they never saw what 7 men saw that winter night. A fighter standing at the edge of absolute destruction and choosing restraint instead. Because true mastery isn't about how much damage you can cause. It's about how much damage you can cause, and choose not to. Only 7 people witnessed Bruce Lee's deadliest fight. Now you're one of them. And if you want to hear more hidden stories about Bruce Lee that history tried to bury, make sure you're subscribed. Because some legends were never meant to be told.